Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Watch for a detailed look at your Colorado weather forecast for the upcoming weekend. I'll start things out with the overview, is that it's a lot calmer this week compared to what we saw last week. We had several snow events, specifically the one on Tuesday and Wednesday that brought us in Denver, most of us, our biggest snowstorm of the season, although officially at DIA, it was not. We only officially had 3.5 inches at DIA, but for most of the Denver area, we ended up with 6 to 12 inches worth of snow from that storm. That is long gone. What we will be looking at as we head through the next few days, fairly tranquil weather, but we do have a couple things to pick out. Specifically, we do have 2 snow chances and also some gusty winds and above average temperatures. Let's start things out with those temperatures. Right now, 46 beautiful degrees for us here in Denver. That is actually already a degree above the average for this time of year. Some of those typically colder valleys in the mountains, just 3 for us in Kremling, 9 in Gunnison, but again, some of those usual chilly spots. And then in Greeley, that has been our cold pocket, that snowpack, and some of those, there's a bit of a valley there as well in Greeley, a little bit of a cold air drainage pool. Cold air is heavier, so it drains down into these subtle little valleys. That's why Greeley's stuck at just 32. And again, on up into the mountains, those river valleys keeping us stuck in 3 degrees in Kremling and 9 degrees on over to Gunnison. Now, again, for us here in Denver, 43 degrees for us downtown, 46 out at the airport, 29 though in Greeley and Fort Morgan at 32. Even Palmer Divide on the mild side though at 42 up into Castle Rock. We're considerably warmer than we were this time yesterday. We're 12 degrees warmer this time yesterday here in Denver. Mountains a little bit chillier for us in some spots, but for most of us here along the Eastern Plains, noticeably warmer today compared to yesterday. And 50 degrees for us will be our high mark here in Denver. Maybe, I wouldn't be surprised if we get up to 51, 52. It's going to be beautiful for us. Again, considering the fact that it's February the 7th, we're going to be running about 5 degrees above the average for this time of year. And then also, by the way, worth noting that, notice that sunrise, 7:01 a.m. Was our sunrise this morning. Tomorrow will be at 7 a.m. and then we go to before 7 a.m. sunrises starting on Wednesday, although we'll actually kind of briefly bring those back when we skip those clocks forward in mid-March again, but you get the idea. That sun, starting to notice it, right? Starting to notice those slightly earlier sunrises and slightly later sunsets. By the way, later this week we will have our first 5:30 p.m. sunset of the year. Now, another thing that I haven't gotten into yet that could be of note as we get later on through the day, those winds will be a bit gusty at times for us as we get into your Monday afternoon, your Monday evening. So tonight we will be noticing those winds, especially in the foothills, cranking it up into the 50 to maybe 60 mile an hour range. A few spots could see some gusts a little bit higher than that. We'll see how far those winds get down into the more, frankly, populated western parts here of the metro area, but for most of us, we will be looking at about winds in the kind of 20 to 30 mile an hour range in the west side of town. Boulder, Longmont, Golden, Evergreen, right on the fringe of some of those stronger winds, but wouldn't be surprised if we do see some stronger gusts periodically in some of those areas later on tonight and early tomorrow. But again, for most of us, I don't think the winds will be that much of an issue, but if you are joining us from some of those east-facing foothill locations, Netherlands specifically, Estes Park, just keep in mind you could be looking at some strong winds tonight and through part of the day tomorrow, though those winds shouldn't be as bad during the day tomorrow. Quick look there at your highs. And then let's look ahead to our next snow chance, which arrives later on into your Wednesday. You're looking at it. Wouldn't exactly call it a particularly impressive storm system that's moving its way into northern Colorado, but we do get a few flurries for us here into the northern mountains, and we'll see some probably action for us here into the Denver area as well. A little bit of rain, snow before that fizzles on out by early Thursday morning. Now, how much snow can we expect from this? Don't exactly hold your breath. I think even in Denver, half an inch might be a bit on the optimistic side. It's going to be on the warm side initially with this storm system, so it'll probably be maybe even a few raindrops, then flipping over to a little bit of snow, and then for us here into the mountains, maybe 2-3 inches for us in some of those northern mountains. We'll take it, but we're starting to need the snow on up into the mountains. Here in Denver, though, we've made up some ground. You might remember that just 40 days ago, we had just 0.3 inches of season-to-date snowfall here in Denver. We're now up to 21.7 inches. That's the DIA total. Of course, DIA didn't get nearly as much snow as downtown from the most recent storm. So I think most of us sitting at about 2 feet of snow so far this season. That does put us officially at about 7 inches behind the season-to-date average. May add a little bit to that this week, not only on Wednesday, but we also have the chance for some snow late on Friday into early on Saturday, as we do have the possibility for seeing a few flakes here in Denver. I think Friday's chance looks a bit better than Wednesday's. Again, Wednesday's doesn't look that impressive at all. Fridays and maybe early Saturday, yeah, could see maybe an inch or two in here in Denver. That remains to be seen, but we do have a little front that drops its way on through. May see a little low spin up outside of it. That could give us, again, maybe the chance for an inch or two of accumulation on Friday night. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Then we get some much warmer temperatures as we get into the early part of next week. So the overall takeaways from that upcoming forecast, it's nice for most of the week ahead. And those two very kind of minor snow chances, one Wednesday night, the other one on Friday night, and then, of course, some of those winds that could impact the foothills late tonight, but probably more into early on your day tomorrow. So that's about it for us here in terms of that weather forecast for the next few days. Not a ton of highlights compared to what we saw last week. We had that cold and all that snow. A lot calmer this week, so get outside and enjoy those warmer temperatures. And, of course, keep an eye on that snow belt, particularly in some of those places that have not that did not melt off back off, over the weekend and late last week. Meteorologist Keely Chalmers will have your forecast at 9 News at noon, and Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin is in tonight at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. So be sure to check us out on our 9 News family of networks. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Watch.